with a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you have any children. There's a few. Okay, keep your hands up. Raise your hands if you would like to have children, if you ever plan on having children. Okay, now keep your hands up if you would ever want your child to die. Okay, I'm glad everyone's hands went down. My topic is on sudden infant death syndrome, and from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, they show that sudden infant death syndrome has decreased by 50% since 1990. However, it is still the third leading cause of infant death in the United States. The European Journal of Pediatrics published an article in 2011 which shared that sudden infant death syndrome is the #1 cause of postnatal death in Western society, which this should mean, or should show you how common this actually is. A lot of people think that it is just, oh, it happens to other people, it would never happen to me. But this should show exactly how common it really is. In 1994, J.J. Filiano and H.C. Kinney created this triple risk model. This is the most recent definition of sudden infant death syndrome. Basically, it is any unexplained death of a seemingly healthy infant. After doing autopsies and everything, there's still no reason why they died. So tonight I'll discuss the causes, risk factors, and prevention tactics for sudden infant death syndrome. So to begin, I'd like to go over some causes with you. From a clinical website created in 2011 from Mayo Clinic, they showed that premature and multiple birth babies are more likely to have sudden infant death syndrome for reasons such as having low birth weight. When you're born prematurely, your body hasn't really had the opportunity to have a mature brain, which causes brain abnormalities, which basically your brain, the part of your brain that controls breathing and sleeping arousal, as well as your heart rate, doesn't work properly, which raises the chance of sudden infant death syndrome. Another cause can be sleeping environment. A lot of people like to do tummy time, which is okay if the child is awake and playing, but not for sleep. Sleeping on the stomach or on the side actually raises the chance of sudden infant death syndrome. Also, sleeping on soft surfaces can impair breathing and block pathways for respiration. So it is said not to use soft, fluffy blankets or soft, fluffy toys. Another, for sleeping environment, another one is that it's okay for an infant to sleep in the same room as parents, but not so much in the same bed. A lot of parents are afraid that, oh, I'm going to roll over onto my child and suffocate them, which, yes, that's obviously a known cause, but that's exactly so it's not a part of sudden infant death syndrome. So it's okay to have a child sleep in the same room, but not so much in the same bed. So there's no actual prevention. There's no one way to prevent it, but there are a few risk factors that everyone should be aware of. As you can see here, infants are most likely or are more vulnerable between months 2 and 3. This is the prime time for sudden infant death syndrome to occur, mostly because, like I said, the children haven't fully developed. From the Chicago Infant Mortality Study, they published an article in 2002 in Pediatrics. They actually showed that race is a risk factor, which is kind of, you don't really have any control over your race, which was really shocking to me. In their study, they showed that 75% of the infants were African American, and 13% were Hispanic, 12% were non-Hispanic. So it's kind of mind-blowing that race would even be a risk factor, but it is. Also in the same study, they also showed that boys actually have 30 to 50% chance higher than girls of having sudden infant death syndrome. Something else you might already know that affects children are mothers, the way they handle themselves. So smoking, drug use, alcohol use, prenatal care, all of that can affect a child and raise their risk. So also, like I said, there's no prevention, but there are a few tactics that you can follow. Breastfeeding actually reduces the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. It shows that breastfeeding is actually most effective between 0 and 6 months of age. The There was a study done in Washington, D.C. in 2011 that specifically showed the correlation between pacifier use and sudden infant death syndrome, and they showed that pacifiers decrease the chance of SIDS by 92%, which is amazing. They actually showed that if you use pacifiers, it should be done after they're 6 months old, and if it's more beneficial if they do it while breastfeeding, but you should use pacifiers after you have a regular breastfeeding routine. Another prevention is the proper sleeping environment, like we kind of already touched on. Sleeping on the back is better than sleeping on your stomach or on the side. Using a firm mattress, try avoiding fluffy pillows or padding or blankets, and basically just to prevent covering air pathways. And to conclude, I will summarize everything that we've talked about. In summary, there's no set cause, but there are several probable causes, such as low birth weight. There are many risk factors that can increase the chance, but there's no actual one set, this is what you have, now you're going to have SIDS. There are also many prevention tactics, such as healthy sleeping environments that everyone should be aware of. And as studies continue and as new studies are created, there's no set anything, there's no guaranteed. SIDS is always by chance, and it happened to my brother, and it can happen to anyone. So again, raise your hand if you have children or ever plan on having children. For that reason, stay informed, share the information you shared tonight, do more research, and just remember, sudden infant death syndrome can happen to anyone. Thank you.